Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today I wanted to tell you guys the story of my labor, of when I had this little brat. Di hi mama. Whoa. Di hi. Di hi. Hi. Oh. Okay. Di hi. Hi. My baby's currently sleeping. You can see her. She fell asleep when I tried to record this video for the past like half an hour. So I had my baby on November 29th. She was actually born past her due date. I just decided to wait until I had her naturally rather than be induced, just because there was nothing wrong, so I might as well just wait to have her naturally. I got my contractions 2 days before she was born. I got them at night when I was going to sleep, but I didn't think much of it because I would always get contractions at night or throughout any time at the day. I would get small contractions, but they would just go away as soon as I started like walking around or doing something. So I thought it was completely normal and I thought they were gonna go away that night, but they didn't go away, so I knew they were my actual contractions. That day I was like, okay, you know what, I'm not gonna go to the hospital until like I absolutely can't take the pain anymore, just because I didn't want to be laying there in the hospital bed for hours and hours and hours. I just wanted to have her as soon as possible. I waited at home. I lasted the whole next day with my contractions. They were just slowly getting stronger and stronger, but not strong enough to the point where I felt like I needed to go. I walked a lot. I just walked and walked, and one of the best things that you can do if you're pregnant is walk. Exercise, walk, do whatever you can. Yoga helps, stuff like that. You can always ask your doctor what's safe for you. I actually played soccer up until I was 4 months pregnant, which I don't recommend. Don't do that. It could be dangerous, but that's just what I did. And I also walked, but that was towards the end of my pregnancy, because in between, to be honest, I would always say, okay, we're gonna go walk, we're gonna go do this, we're gonna do that, and I never did it. I exercised a few times. I watched YouTube videos on like exercises that were safe during pregnancy, and I just did that for a while, but like I said, I wasn't consistent with it. I waited until the next day. My contractions still didn't get stronger, and then that night I finally decided to go to the hospital. And at that point my mom was here and my boyfriend's mom was here because they wanted to be in the room when I had my baby. I waited until about 3 or 4 in the morning. And just a little side note, I don't remember some of my story from when I was in labor because I took this relaxant medication and I was kind of like loopy and sleepy throughout the whole thing, so I kind of don't remember things in order. Just to let you know, like some of the things I say may not be completely accurate, but I'll try my best. So I went to the hospital around 3 or 4 in the morning, and I was about 4 centimeters dilated, however you say it, and it was enough to keep me in the hospital. So they put me in my room. They asked me all these questions, and at that point I was like, oh my god, like shut up. Like I was in pain in the bed. I was just like, I didn't want anybody talking to me, and they had to ask me all these questions, you know, basic questions that they ask you. They were like, oh, do you want to have a C-section? Do you want natural birth? Like, what are your plans? And I wanted a natural birth. And I was just praying to God that I had no complications or that I didn't need to take the epidural. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with the epidural, but like I know that it gives you back problems in the long run. And knowing myself, since I like to be athletic, I like playing soccer, I like running and all that stuff, I didn't want to have back pains or back problems in the future. So I told myself that I wasn't going to get an epidural. Like I was just going to try my best to just have her naturally and pray to God that I didn't need a C-section. And I just kept that in mind. To be honest, it's all in your head. You have to tell yourself since the beginning, I'm gonna have a natural birth, I'm gonna be strong. Like you need to tell yourself that, because honestly it's a lot of mental things that go into it. It's not just your body on its own. Like you have to think positive, you have to make yourself a strong person. You need a strong mentality for that. And so that's what I did since the beginning. I just kept telling myself like I'm gonna be able to do it. So I told the nurse, I was like, I want to have her naturally. And she was like, okay, if you want to have her naturally, then we're gonna do what we can to help you. And I was so lucky to have the best nurses ever. All my nurses were all really nice, really helpful, patient. They were great, and my doctor was amazing. So I didn't have any problems there, thank God, because I know a lot of people that have like rude nurses and stuff like that. Well, luckily I didn't have to go through that. So I got to the hospital and they checked how far along I was. I was 4 centimeters, so that was enough to keep me there. And I asked if I could walk around in the hallways and stuff, because I couldn't just lay there. Like, laying there in pain is probably one of the worst things that I could have done for myself. I preferred to be walking, because the more I walked, like, the less I would think about the pain, the less I felt the contractions. So I walked around with my boyfriend. We would just walk in the hallways, walk back in the room. I would like rest a little bit, but I realized like when I would sit down or lay down, like it just felt so much worse. So I would just get back up. And contractions, like, a lot of people wonder what it feels like. It's basically like period cramps on steroids. It's just period cramps, but they get stronger, longer, stronger, and longer. And it gets to the point where like it's really bad. They told me if you feel like you want to get checked up, see how far along you're dilating, the nurse can come check you. And at one point, when I remember, I was like in so much pain to the point where my tears were coming out, like I couldn't hold it anymore. And I asked for this medication that they give you, which is basically a relaxant. And so this medication, what it did to me, the first time that I took it twice. The first time, it put me to sleep. It relaxed me, and I was calm enough that I was able to sleep for a few hours, or actually I'm not exactly sure how many hours I slept for. And so I slept and I was comfortable, I was fine. But then when I woke up, they told me that I wasn't dilating anymore, so I had to be given this other medication, which is basically the one that induces your labor. And so my contractions came stronger and stronger, and it helped me open a little bit, but I was still not opening enough. And at this point, I could not take the pain anymore. I remember I told my mom, this was after I had my baby, but I remember I told my mom, like, I remember in my mind that I was screaming, that I was like holding onto the bar screaming that I couldn't do it. And she was like, what are you talking about? You were crying, but like calmly. You weren't screaming, you weren't talking, you were just crying, but calmly. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, in my head, I was like, oh hell no, like I can't do it. Just get her out, do what you gotta do. Like, I can't. But my mom said that I wasn't even talking. They said I didn't do anything. My boyfriend was in the room, his mom was in the room, and they said I didn't do anything. But anyways, I remember I did take that medication twice. So the first, not the inducing one, the relaxant, I took it again later on when I also felt like I needed it, like I couldn't take it. But the second time that I took it, I regret it so much. Like, the first time that I took it, I couldn't really feel the pain anymore. Like, it just relaxed me to the point where I was able to sleep. The second time that I took it, I literally felt all the pain. I could hear everything. Like, I couldn't sleep. I was just like so droopy, like I could not open my eyes, and I couldn't like react. Like, my body was just so, like, I don't know, like my body was weak, but I could still feel everything. At that point, it was just making me mad. Like, I was desperate because I couldn't react. My body wouldn't react, but I could feel all the pain. So I was like, well, what's the point of this? It's just making me mad because like I can't do anything. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't take it. I would rather just feel the pain completely, but be able to like walk or something. At that point, I couldn't do anything but lay there. From there, like, the nurse checked and I was still not dilated enough, but she was like, you know what, you have 2 options. Either you start pushing right now and just try to push her out, or you wait, you keep waiting. And I remember, like, I was just like, no, like, I want to start pushing now. Oh, I forgot to mention, my doctor broke my water, and I remember he told me, okay, so I'm gonna break your water and you're gonna feel like a lot of water just come out, like a lot of liquid, and you're gonna see it come out. He's like, don't be alarmed, blah blah blah. And I was like, okay. And I remember he did, and I didn't feel anything come out. No water, no blood, nothing came out. So I basically went through like a dry birth. Another thing that my nurses did, thank God, they massaged me down there, obviously, with like oil, so that I would open up, so that the doctor didn't have to cut me, because you do know, like, if your baby struggles to come out, or if like you can't push her out on your own, they do cut you down there so that your baby can come out. And I was scared, like I did not want to get cut. And also there's times when your baby rips you down there and it's painful, like it's a longer healing time and it's just painful, and I didn't want to go through it. But thank God, like my nurses and my doctor throughout my whole labor, they massaged me down there with oil, and I was able to open without ripping my skin. Okay, so at that point I remember I was just like, I'm gonna start pushing, like blah blah blah. So they showed my mom, my boyfriend, how to, like, they had to hold me, and his mom was holding my head. I remember it was just painful, like painful. Like I pushed, I don't remember for how long, to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm tired, like I can't do it. Like I remember my head, I wanted to give up so bad, like you do not understand how much I wanted to give up. But I didn't. Like, thank God. I looked down and I remember I saw my baby's hair. Like I saw her curly hair just there, and I was like, I'm sorry if this is TMI, but you know what, I saw her hair, and that just motivated me, like, you know what, she's already there, like just keep going. And so I kept pushing and pushing, and I remember, like, I was pushing so hard that my little vein on my face popped. I had little bruises on my face from when I was pushing, and I was swollen. My face was swollen, my eyes were swollen. I looked so crazy. I'll try to insert some pictures. I was able to push her out. Like I remember the doctor grabbed her head, like they turned their body and take them out. And that is the part that hurts the most, let me tell you. It burns like a mother. Like it just burns. I just remember it burned. Like that's all I remember. But once they're out, they're out. The pain just, I mean, it doesn't stop all the way, like it still kind of hurts down there, but like the pain goes away, your body just, it's just a relief. But oh my gosh, the feeling when they put her on me, like my boyfriend cut her cord, and I'm so upset because like my memory is so blurry when all of this happened because of the relaxing thing or whatever. But I remember when they cut her cord and they put her on my chest, and this is where I get emotional. And like the feeling that you get when they put your baby there and you look at her and you can't, it's like, it's so unexplainable. Like I remember thinking, like, how beautiful is she? Like obviously I guess everybody thinks that about their baby, but I was like, wow, like I can't believe, like I couldn't believe that she was my baby, that I had her in my belly for 9 months. Like I could not believe it. And I was just so happy, like so happy. And your whole life changes, you know, at that point you're like, wow, like, it's just you, it's hard to describe, but it makes me so emotional every time I talk about it. But anyways, like I was able to have her naturally, and she was born completely healthy, no issues at all. Curly hair. curly hair she had. Her nurse, when she was born, her nurse, the nurse that helped me throughout my labor, she picked her first outfit, she did her hair. When she bathed her, she did like a little mohawk. It was the cutest thing ever. And I'm so grateful for that nurse. She was amazing, oh my gosh. And my doctor's, he was great. And I was able to have her completely fine. And luckily, like, I healed really fast. I went back to normal really fast. I was able to walk around, move, do whatever I needed to do. I wasn't in pain at all. And I had a great birth. Like, I didn't, compared to other people, I feel like I was able to do pretty good. I didn't have any complications, thank God. And yeah, that's my story of my labor. And a few tips that I can give you, like if you're pregnant, just walk, exercise, you know. I know up to a certain point it's safe to jog in the beginning of your pregnancy. Like I don't recommend that you do that later on, but as I said, talk to your doctor and know your limits, because obviously you can go too far with working out and exercising. It could be harmful to you or your baby, so just be careful. I would suggest talking to your doctor. There's also like classes for pregnant people that want to do yoga and exercise and stuff like that, so just do your research. eat healthy, eat really healthy. Another thing that was really helpful was massages. Like, my boyfriend would massage my back a lot because my back was what hurt me the most. But it is worth it having kids. Like, it's worth it having your baby. All the pain is worth it. And like, a lot of people ask, like, would you do it again? Yes, I would. I will hopefully have another baby in the future. I only want 2 kids. Like, 2 kids is good for me, but I don't know, we'll see. My boyfriend wants 3, I think, so we'll see how it goes, but I'd be happy with just 2. Be careful with who you choose to have kids with, because I mean, I was lucky. My man's did a lot of work when I was going through my healing period, and through my pregnancy overall. He was helpful. He cleaned, cooked, helped me with everything. I'm very grateful. I'm very proud of him. Other than that, I pretty much got used to taking care of her on my own. My mom works, his mom works. Like, I was basically alone the whole time. He had to go back to work right away, and I struggled. I did struggle. Like, the first few weeks I struggled with her. There were some points, like, I'm not gonna lie, some points I cried. Like, I would just cry. I was exhausted. I was tired. Depression does hit you. Like, if you're somebody who got depression, or you may get depression in the future, if you're going through this, it's normal. I know that it can happen to a lot of people, and I was one of those that at one point I was like, you know what, I'm tired. I miss being able to rest, like, whenever I could. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, you don't rest whenever you want. Like, it's when you can, when you have time. Some days I would just break down. It's not that I regretted having her. It was not that at all. I was just tired. Like, I just needed a break. You miss going out, you miss simply just going outside or whatever, because I had her when it was cold. I couldn't really take her outside that much. If you're going through this, do not isolate yourself. Like, have your friends come over, ask for help. Like, don't be afraid to ask somebody for help. Ask your friends for help, ask your family for help. Basically, just don't be alone, because the longer you stay alone, or you're in your house by yourself with just your baby, it can get to you. Don't do that. Just look for people. There's people out there that are there for you. I'm sure everybody has somebody that can be there for you. My boyfriend is always there for me, but like I said, he works most of the day, so I was basically by myself with just her, and it gets lonely. I got through it, whatever. I got over it. I'm fine now, but it's just a lot to get used to, having a baby in your house and just you taking care of her or him. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna wrap it up here. Sorry if this video is super long. This is just my story, and hopefully it can help some of you guys out. I also have some tips or like some advice that I can give about how to get your body back to normal, which I get a lot of questions on. I can make a video on that if you guys would like to know what I did. It may not work for everyone. It's what worked for me. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and please don't forget to subscribe. I think that's pretty much it. Hope you guys are all having a great day. Thank you so much for sticking around throughout the whole video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you made it through the video. And thank you so much. Bye.
By the way, I just quickly want to say, ignore this pimple that I got. I've been having a fever these past few days, and it just came out, and I tried to pop it. Don't do that. Don't pop your pimples. Just let them be. Leave them alone. They'll go away. Don't do that. And also, I'm not wearing foundation and stuff, so...
Alright, bye.